Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Thriving LDS podcast. And welcome to the new year. Happy New Year, Kim.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too, Kay.
It's so exciting to be in 2025. It's actually unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. And I love the Thrive in 2025 rhyme.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so we're going to thrive in 2025.
We're going to thrive in 2025. And Kim's been putting up little excerpts from our podcast that we did this time last year. And both of us are sort of stunned at just how much time, like a whole year's gone since we did that.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun watching those, Kim.
Well, with the exception of having to look at myself so much heavier, I have enjoyed doing, I like the content, let's put it that way.
Well, I think that's a really good point, is like one goal achieved, Kim. Like there is a massive change for anybody who hasn't watched the before and now. Like go see the change, and just all we really see is Kim's face, and you can see the massive weight loss. So well done, Kim.
Thanks. It's still some work to do, but it's a good success story so far. Hopefully we can keep it up.
Health and fitness are going to be a goal that sits there forever. It's like it should be. True. It should be one of our goals. So that's fine. Weight loss obviously is one part of that, but I know you've got fitness goals as well.
Yep.
And that's one of my things for this year, is to grow the fitness bit more.
Yeah, I think the older we get, the greater the focus has to be. We have to work harder at it.
We have to work harder at it. Yeah.
Everything changes.
You look at 18-year-olds and they've got these gorgeous bodies and they're fit and they're muscular, and that's great. But now we actually have to work at it.
Yeah, for sure.
And, all the research says if we work at it, it's to our benefit.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things Kim's been talking about is the vision boards. And it's a popular worldly topic of the vision boards, but we actually think it can be a church topic as well, because it is about like, let's see what we're going to focus on and believe it's possible to achieve our goals.
Right. Yeah. So we've been in the little snippets we've been setting the stage for the kind of, let's ask for what we want. Let's get really in tune with what we want and ask for it and dare to dream, because we all know that if we've had a humongous life change, like losing a loved one or going through a divorce, you get kind of down in the dumps, or we have disappointing things that make it so we lose a little bit of hope, or we're afraid to dream big because we had a setback. So I think first is asking for being willing to put yourself out there and dare to dream a little bit. And then we have to tackle it, because it's not going to come to fruition unless we really believe it's possible. And we haven't talked much. We haven't done any snippets or things about kind of checking in and saying, do I believe I can actually accomplish this vision board, or what's on my vision board, or how do I feel about it? But you have to have a sense of believing that you can actually accomplish it.
That's right. If you don't believe it, then you'll sabotage yourself. It's a guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so one of the things for people to think about is, as they're saying, and weight loss is a really good example, and we know many will have that on their list.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I need to lose 30 pounds, 30 kilos, whichever thing you use. If you listen to what goes on in your head, so if I say I'm going to be, 65 kilos this time next year, what is the thought that goes on in your brain? What would be 65 kilos in pounds? Is that 130 pounds or something?
I don't know the math. You're so much better at converting than I am, but 65 sounds really small. But
yeah, that's right. Pounds is twice as
much.
Like
125 pounds for a 5'4", like my size person, 5'4", is probably about average weight. So 65.
Okay. So that sort of thing. So whichever currency you guys use, think about that and think, okay, that's my goal. That's what I want. And then listen to what's going on inside your head. So is there you can't do that. You've never been able to do that. Every time you lose weight, you've failed. You put it back on, or you can't do it. So listen to those voices. They're really important.
Yeah. Two things, like those that I call those yes buts. yes, but, and then there's a long list of buts, like I can't, or I don't think I ever will, or I have this terrible metabolism, or it's in my genes, all the yes buts. And then the other thing is tune into when you say that, when you say I in present tense, I weigh 65 kilos or 125 pounds or whatever it is, do you get a knot in your stomach? Do you all of a sudden feel heavy in your shoulders, or like there's a weight on you somewhere? Or just tune into your body, because our bodies will tell us where we're storing potentially something that might be getting in our way. So, any kind of sensory thing, feeling or emotion that comes up. Do we get sad? I had a
Mm.
I had a coach, and this could be part of why I was able to do what I did last year. I did some work in a class. I was in a master class, and so I had a great mentor. She's a great coach, kind of a master EFT practitioner, and we were talking about identity. And identity is a big thing, because whenever you're setting a goal, especially like if it's a weight loss goal or anything where you're trying to bump things up a notch, you could have some tight connection to an identity that is stopping you. Like I am whatever it might be, or and so that's a thing to consider. But anyway, what happened to me was she actually took me through an exercise, and maybe someday we can do some classes or put some of this stuff out there. But she took me through an exercise where we were talking about weight loss. We were talking about, visualizing myself as my ideal weight. And so I was going through this exercise, picturing myself in my ideal weight. And then she asked me the most valuable question. She said, okay, you can see yourself, as that weight. And I was like, yes, I can see myself as my ideal weight. And then she said, how far away are you? And I was like, clear down the street, a half a mile maybe away. And she said, okay, I want you to picture getting closer to yourself. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself, like, visually get myself closer to that person. Kind of chokes me up when I talk about it, but there was something blocking me. Like I couldn't, and her goal was to get me to integrate with that person, like to get all the way up and to embrace, like feel myself in the body of that lighter person. And she was clear down the block. And so we had to do some pretty significant work, because there was a part of my identity that just wasn't allowing me. I was protecting myself by staying heavy. And I think, the work that we did, and it was only it was only in that master class. So it was like a 2-day thing that we worked on it. But just to point, I'm just trying to give an example maybe of things that can come up, or reasons and things that get in our way of trying to accomplish a goal. So we have to tune into those things and make sure that our goals are really believable. I don't know. Have you ever what are some of your thoughts on that, Kay?
I agree. How's that? Yeah, people talk about put pretty pictures up and write something, but we can all go get a picture out of a magazine and go, oh, that looks perfect.
Yeah.
Do you really believe it? Do you really see yourself in that picture?
Yeah.
And I think that's, I've seen people write visions that are just like, even I'm listening to them going, you don't believe that? That's ridiculous, the money one, like they're not making any money and they're going to make, $1 million next year. It's like very few people believe that that's possible.
Yeah. And if you don't believe it, we promise you're going to get in your own way.
Yeah.
We've experienced it with our clients and with each other. And, we know that that's going to happen.
That's right. So it sounds, it's, you've got to believe it first. You've got to be able to see it. So you've got to be able to see yourself at that lighter weight. You've got to see yourself with that extra money. You've got to see yourself with that dream partner. Whatever your goals are, you've got to see it. You know, if you want to run the marathon, you've got to actually see yourself doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And then just as you're writing those things out, because in my head, I was always saying, yes, I know that's what I want. But there was either sensations in my body or things that were saying, yeah, but that's not safe for you. That's not safe to go there. And I had to work on those and overcome those in order to get to a place where I could actually lose the weight.
yeah.
Work through fears. It was mostly fears. All fears,
And
actually.
if you don't believe you've got these negative thoughts, then yeah, look at your weight, look at your bank balance, look at your relationships with people,
Hmm.
and whatever you've got around you is actually what you believe. Like it
Yeah.
sounds tough to say, but it's, if your bank balance is minus 1,000, then you've got some work to do on your beliefs about money.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of I'll just work harder and I'll make more money. No, that's not actually how it works. You've got to do the thinking first, and then the money will come.
Yeah.
Relationships are the same. You've got to believe that there's a person out there for you. You've got to believe that you can do that
Yeah.
before the person will turn up, not that the person will turn up and then, oh, yes, I'm in love, that everything's going to work out fine.
Be
No,
magical. Odds are you'll sabotage that.
the odds are the right person might be right there, but you're messing it up.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yes, with the, do the pretty pictures, do whatever course or class or whatever you're seeing about vision boards, but really pay attention to what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And yeah, the excitement of like, oh yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good. This is good is great. But ask your questions. Is this possible? Can I really do this? Is this really going to work?
Yeah. And then we wouldn't want to leave you on kind of in a down spiral. I mean, both Kay and I use EFT because we know that's a really valuable tool and have had it work in our lives before in the past. So that's an option. But there are all kinds of tools. Sometimes just acknowledging whatever it is that you're feeling in your body and recognizing the emotion and just accepting it, just saying, oh, I feel that. And I recognize I feel that. And what is that about? Question yourself a little bit. What do I think that's about? Just allow yourself to be intuitive about it. And maybe an event will pop up in your head that says, hey, my mom told me when I was this old, or I heard a really good story, a money one, the other day about how a young 20-year-old came home. He had just gotten this huge bonus at work, and he told his dad about it. And later his mom said, your dad's really depressed that you made more money in this one thing than he's made all year long in his whole life of accomplishing it, an annual salary. You made more than that in one bonus. And he formulated this belief that I can't earn that much money because I don't want to make my dad sad. And I don't want my dad to be depressed. And so, it could be anything, but if you question yourself a little bit, those things will pop into your head, or those events. And just sometimes just recognizing those things is enough. Sometimes praying about them, asking for help, and kind of how do I asking for promptings, and is there a place I can go, resources I can use to shift my thinking on that. Like I said, Kay and I are big fans of EFT, but that's not the only tool in the toolbox. There's all kinds of things and ways, and because of being LDS, I think we have more options available to us than a lot of people. We have the Holy Ghost and other means to help get us to some of those things. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes people will say, oh, well, I just need to pray about it and God will fix it. And I think for many of us, because the belief is so ingrained and so indeed, that even prayer doesn't work because we dismiss it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think
we
that's a
actually
really
have
good
to
point.
heal the past, because many of these things do come from our childhood, and we can have had fantastic childhoods, and parents can still have said things like, a classic that I'm sure is an American and probably a worldwide one is, you have to work hard to make money.
Yeah.
And
Or
when,
just, being in our religion, we have beliefs about money. We have a law of consecration and a law of sacrifice. And what is that? Everyone interprets what that means and how that applies to them differently. And
mm,
so we could have some very limiting beliefs about those kinds of things, even that we have to
mm,
overcome and that we need to seek some guidance for.
that's right. And there is a very, in many religions, there's that belief that you can't, you've got to be poor to be religious. You
Yeah.
can't be rich.
Yeah.
Whereas you just have to look at the Old Testament. All of those prophets that we revere, they were the richest person around. Like
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it, money is something that God will bestow upon you.
Yeah, and the trick is making sure you have a virtuous intent, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I love that the Abraham story is probably one of the best to describe the money story,
yeah,
because Abraham and Lot, ended up having to leave where they were, and they left with sort of not much. Well, they had a lot of cows and sheep and things, but
yeah,
they left everything else behind. And they come to the desert, and they're standing on top of a hill, and there's really nice green grass one way and a desert the other way. And Abraham sits there and says to Lot, which piece of land, like we won't work if we try and do all the land together. We need to separate, and you can have half and I'll have half. And he gives Lot the first choice, and Lot chooses the really nice green grass. And Abraham gets the desert bit. And Abraham makes it flourish. And Abraham ends up being the richest person around and staying righteous, because he had that humbleness and that willingness to share and that willingness to do what it takes. But yeah, I think you see his character in that story of, like,
yeah.
he wasn't chasing riches. He was chasing peace with his Lottie's nephew, I think. It's a
And wasn't he promised to be successful? I mean,
yeah,
God said, if you do what I tell you,
yeah.
you
You will
will
be
be
successful.
successful. I mean, so it wasn't that God was saying, no, that's not, you're not following the law of consecration or sacrifice if you do that. That's not what it was about.
Yeah. So Abraham followed his covenants. He followed the principle of, like, caring for others, the principle of, like, not being greedy, being, all of those
Staying
principles.
humble, being willing
Humble.
to do whatever, lowering himself to do whatever God asked him to do.
Mm. And of course, the story of Lot isn't quite so successful.
Right.
So it's what you're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, it's the belief systems that are going on behind. So everybody needs to look at what their belief system is.
Yeah.
And, do you believe that God can help you become rich?
Yeah. And even if just in what Kay just said, if you cringed a little or
Mhm.
something popped up for you, pay attention and notice what that was and write it down. Say, why am I reacting that way?
Why am I? Yeah, I mean, that's why, they say, oh, at dinner parties, don't talk about, sex, religion, and money. And that's why, because people have these reactions to money.
Yeah.
Whereas money is given to, like, it's one of them, we're given air and water and all that. And money is one of those things that we're blessed with. Many of our leaders and things are actually very well off. Like, it's not something to be scared of or thinking that we're not righteous.
Right.
It is, but it's the priorities of, like, where are you putting your priorities?
Yeah.
But yes, exactly what Kim said. If I'm sitting here talking about you can be rich, you can have lots of money, and you're going, she's on the wrong track. She's got it wrong. Yeah, maybe don't dismiss me quite so fast and think about where you're coming. What are the beliefs? Why are you saying that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and weight loss is, another classic that we set at the beginning of the year. And it is challenging. Kim and I will tell you it's challenging.
Yeah.
But and it is about food and exercise. Like, you
Mhm.
know, there's plenty of people out there to say, no, it's not food and exercise. Yeah, it is food and exercise. But
It is.
the real key is the stuff going on in your head. That's the real key.
Yep.
And why do you have to eat a whole chocolate bar every night? Why do you crave soft drinks, Kim? Not pointing to
Yes,
anybody.
I have not. That's why I said I'm a work in progress. I still
But,
have some bad habits I need to eliminate.
you know, if you're sitting there at night and you've got a chocolate bar and a carrot in your hands and you're going, I'm going for the chocolate bar, then you know that it's to do with what's going on in your head. It's not hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you can tell that you need to deal with what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? So
Yeah.
Relationship.
So we talked about asking, believing, and receiving, because that's another thing you and I have worked on, is the whole idea of allowing ourselves to actually receive, and it's kind of am I at I say vibration, or at, some kind of, like, you have to be willing to, for many years, had a guard up about receiving love from my mom. Like, that wasn't okay, and I resisted that. So, that's an example. And many people, I think, actually maybe feel undeserving or have some limiting belief about not being good enough or not being lovable. And so then you have to ask yourself, am I allowing myself to actually feel loved? Am I loving myself enough? All those things. So, so receiving is like the third part of that. And that ties into the limiting beliefs as well. Like, what are the beliefs going on in my head that are getting in my way? So you have to be able to ask, believe, and receive. And then the other thing we talked about was just struggling. And even in those videos, when I've been doing the clips, and I think you've gotten a better sense of this now, of where am I in life and what is my purpose? People, like, I'm very clear right now about what's on my vision board, but some people aren't. They're still struggling with, what do I even put on there? Or what is my purpose? And so we decided we probably need to do a whole kind of little mini master class or do something, because that's a pretty big topic but we do recognize that some people are just struggling. If you're in that place, I think the important thing is to just continue to create small actions, right? Until you
Keep
can
moving.
find something, keep moving until you can find some things, until something settles, until something, really sticks with you that you feel.
Yeah. You don't find purpose by sitting down, sort of staring, especially staring into the TV. You will not find purpose that way.
Yeah.
You'll find it by going out and mixing with people, or doing classes, or, just go experiment, go find.
Yeah.
That's
Start with what energizes you, and maybe you'll find a purpose in that. But
yeah, so
we'll definitely do a master class.
But we will do a master class. We will let you know when it is, and it'll be a live class. So we will be able to invite you into an event, and you can come and help us know where you're struggling. And we look forward to that, because we know that purpose, that looking for purpose is really hard when you're feeling like, and I know when bad stuff's happened, when the death and divorce and the changes and things, you do lose your way with that. You sort of,
even
the purpose was so clear when you had little kids, wasn't it? It was
that's
so
what I was
clear.
just going to say. Even if it's just struggling with, your youngest is now leaving the nest, and you're going to be an empty nester, and
I actually think that was
hard.
But for me, so the death of my husband and the empty nest happened basically the same time. And sometimes I wonder if a lot of the struggle I had was the empty nest.
Right.
Like, it was like, who am I now? What do I do now?
See, that goes back to identity, which is maybe something we can factor into the finding your purpose thing. So,
because, when you got a baby in your arms, like, and they're screaming, exactly what your purpose is.
Yeah. And I always use the example of Moses trying to lead the Israelites, to a better place, and them going back to all those behaviors, because that's was their identity. Hey, we're slaves. This is how we were, that was who we were. And so they would fall back into those patterns. It's scary to break through some of that stuff and to go to a new place, even if you know it's better and it's obvious it's better, it's still the unknown. And
Yeah, well, you think
so
that
it's
it took
scary.
them 40 years to figure out, like, for them
Yeah.
to be ready to get the promise. God had given them the promise. They literally could have walked out of that and walked into the promised land. But because they weren't ready, they had to go through all of these other trials first. And so I guess that's what we're trying to help you do, is like, maybe you don't have to spend 40
we
years
could
in the
shorten
wilderness.
that 40 years to
We can help you find all this stuff before you've wandered in the desert and struggled with starvation and no water and
created a golden calf and
all that
who knows what else.
Who knows what else? Oh dear. So yeah, so do your vision boards. We love them. We love that vision, you know, that dreaming of what's potential and possible and what do you really want. But do the asking for what you really want, believing it's possible and allowing it to happen to you. And I think allowing it to, certainly probably all of them, that all of those key things that we want, you've got to allow it.
Yeah. Yeah. You deserve
What happens
it.
if you are that ideal weight? What, you know?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? It's like, yeah, people are going to look at you. People will make comments. People will say, Kim, you look so different.
This is true.
Sorry, everybody.
She's teasing me. You guys don't know it, but she is.
Because it is. It's uncomfortable. And that uncomfortableness is about our acceptance and our accepting the changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully we've all enthused you about doing your vision boards, but listening to that. Remember, we're always here if you want to reach out and ask questions or get
join
further
the Facebook
help.
group. We love to see each other support. I love seeing everybody support each other, sharing their word of the day. It's been super fun to see, or not word of the day, word of the year, to see everybody. So yeah, share stuff, ask questions. We love to support each other and give you feedback, and it gives us ideas for what you want to hear more about. So tell us.
Yeah, tell us. Yeah. And by all means, put up photos of your vision board. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, it's a little bit vulnerable, but we won't judge. We just will cheer you on.
Remember, vulnerability is good, Kim. It's good. So thank you everybody for being with us for the last 12 months, and we hope that 2025 is going to be a fantastic year for us. We're still going to be here for you, so follow along.
Yes.
Thanks, Kim. Lovely chatting with you.
Yes.
Bye everybody.
Bye.